Hi, my name is Judy, and today I have a restorative yoga practice for you. And I'd like you to start off in a seated position, closing your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Relax your forehead, relax your jaw. Let your shoulders just slide on down your back. And just inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Let it all go. A couple more times. Last time. And I'd like you to continue on breathing in and out through your nose, trying to make the exhales just 1 second longer than your inhales. So inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue on like that as I explain a little bit about our practice. You're going to need some props. So after you've finished with this breathing, or even right now, you could go ahead and pause the video and gather up your props. You will need something to sit on so that your hips are higher than your knees. I am sitting on a bolster right now. A couch pillow can work very nice. Several yoga blankets. You're going to need at the very least 1 yoga blanket or towel. And you might want a strap. That's definitely optional. It can feel very nice. Our practice today is all about clarity, about focus. And it may even help you if you are experiencing hot flashes due to perimenopause or menopause. I didn't suffer very much with hot flashes, so I can't tell you for sure that this is going to help you, but it may very well help. Any practice that allows you to calm down and de-stress, like a restorative yoga practice, is going to be helpful. It tells your nervous system it's okay to relax. We're going to be working with some very minor inversions. Now, when you think inversion, if you know what that is, it's generally when your head is lower than the heart. You are probably thinking things like handstand and headstand. Those are indeed inversions. But there are many more accessible inversions that are good for everybody and will give you the benefits of inversions. One of those benefits is that it allows the blood to circulate to your head, to your brain, helping with clarity and focus. Physically, we're going to be getting mostly into our glutes, a little bit into our hips, and into our lower back as well. So wherever you are in your breathing or gathering up your props, one last deep breath. And let that go. If you're sitting down, slowly come to standing. I'm going to use my bolster. Take your feet out as wide as is comfortable for you. One of the nice things about restorative yoga, we don't get as warmed up as we do in many other forms of yoga. So you can do it in your socks, generally. It depends on the practice. This practice you certainly can. I also invite you to have your mat perpendicular to the wall. We will be using the wall in just a little bit. I have mine parallel to the wall because that makes it easier for you to see me. So take your bolster or your blankets or your pillow a little bit out in front of you. Feet are out as wide as is comfortable for you. Take the toes in and the heels out, which might feel a little gripping in your hips here. You shouldn't feel pain. And then just slowly begin to take your head down to that bolster. You know what? I'm going to grab my blankets because that bolster's a little too far for me. Okay. Bring it closer to me. And you want your hands on either side of your pillow or your bolster. You can also take a couple of blocks here and have your forehead on the blocks. I'll be offering you a few affirmations during this practice. And our first one is, I focus on one thing at a time. Notice anywhere you're holding tension in your body. Maybe the shoulders. See if you can breathe into them and relax a little deeper. And go ahead and push into the palms of your hands, bringing yourself upright. Take the blankets off of your bolster. Bring the bolster back towards your wall. Go ahead and sit on the bolster. Grab your yoga blankets, one for each leg. And you're going to take your legs out as wide as is comfortable to you with the blanket underneath it into a straddle. So your left leg is going towards the back of the mat if you have your mat parallel to your wall. And your right leg is going towards the front of your mat. And take your hands behind you. This is a supported straddle pose. Let your feet relax. Maybe close your eyes. When I allow my breath to slow, my thoughts slow as well, and I think clearly. I invite you in any of these poses, if they feel particularly good for your body, to pause the video and stay in them longer. Restorative poses you can stay in for a very long period of time, because generally you are propped up enough so that it's very easy to just relax into the pose. However, if you find the pose to be challenging, we're not holding them for very long periods of time, please don't skip ahead to the next pose. I promise you, you can do it. And if you've closed your eyes, go ahead and blink them open or just listen to my cues. We're going to remain at the wall on top of a pillow or blankets or a bolster. You're going to take one yoga blanket and open it up so it is a larger rectangle. Fold it and then fold it again. Go ahead and take that around your ankles and between your feet and the bolster, letting your knees open out to either side. And in this position, you have the bolster supporting those knees. If you need a little bit more support, you can take a blanket, put it underneath your thighs. You could take a block, put it underneath. And again, the soles of the feet are together, and I invite you to close your eyes. I am open and receptive to new ideas. Perhaps one of the new ideas in this practice for you is the use of positive affirmations. It's something that I've used for a very long time, but I've been really diving deeply into recently. And I'm just loving putting them into my practice, using them daily. Basically, it's rewiring your brain from a negative viewpoint into a positive viewpoint. And from there, good things can really cascade into your life. Let the shoulders relax. Palms can be face down or face up on your thighs. And go ahead and slowly blink your eyes open. Unwrap the yoga blanket from around your ankles. Bring it back out to a square shape. Or actually, you might want it to, instead of having it folded over like this, you might want it like that. You're going to have to play around with it. That is the thing about restorative yoga. Everybody is different. What feels right in everybody is different. So you have to find what feels right for you. And that actually is good advice for any yoga practice. Okay, we are going to need that blanket in our next pose. Most likely you only need one, but you might feel comfortable with two. You're going to come off your bolster a little slower than I just did. You always want to transition in and out of poses slowly. Transitions tend to be where you get injured. So do it mindfully and slowly. Take your bolster, pillow, or blankets, whatever you have. Go ahead and place it across your yoga mat. And we are going to take our feet over the bolster. And then we're going to bring our hips up onto the bolster. And we are slowly going to come down onto our back. The point here is you can do this without a yoga blanket at all. That might feel perfectly good in your body. The point here is to have our head lower than our heart to make this a mild inversion. And you can stay right here if you'd like to. This is supported bridge. But if you'd like, you can go ahead and bring one knee in towards your chest and then the other, grabbing a hold of your feet. The feet are flexed. So it's almost as if you looked up at that ceiling, as if you're standing on the ceiling. The knees are pointed towards the top of your yoga mat if it's parallel to the wall. And this is supported happy baby. This is it's a mild inversion using the bolster. It is going to help your low back, and it is going to open your hips as well. I choose one thought at a time. Go ahead and release your feet. Now, if you don't have a wall available to you, you can take your legs straight up towards the ceiling. Feet can be flexed, they can be flaunted, as my teacher likes to say. So somewhere between pointed and flexing, so that there's not a lot of tension in them. And then this is an easy transition. You just stay on your bolster. Again, your head is a little lower than your heart. Mild inversion. Now, I do like to do this. This is legs up the wall without a wall. I do like to do it at the wall. That allows your legs to rest into the wall. If you happen to have a strap handy, you can put the strap around your thighs, and that gives them something to relax into also. So you can do that either this way or with your legs up the wall, which I am going to demo. I'm going to lift my hips and slide the bolster out. I'm going to need a blanket here for my head, and I'm going to take the bolster against, not right against the wall, leaving a little space between the wall and your mat. This is not the easiest pose for me to get into, and for a lot of people probably. But it's so beneficial. It's so calming for your nervous system. It can help with those hot flashes, and it can help you quiet your mind. So you take your hip. I find this much easier to get into when I'm not on a bolster, but the bolster has its benefits. You take your hip as close to the wall as you can, taking one hand down to the mat, and then slowly turning yourself up, holding onto the mat, holding onto the wall, and then slowly letting your head come down onto your mat or your blanket. And there you go. It's awkward, but it works. I think and speak with clarity. If you hear your stomach begin to grumble, it's actually a very good sign. It generally means that you are moving from high alert, code orange, as my teacher likes to say, into rest and digest. Or it could just mean you're hungry. But I had a student who her stomach, every time she came to practice, it would grumble, and I was like, "Do you eat?" Well, apparently, I was doing my job well, and she was relaxing and turning off all the stress responses and allowing calm to take over. So that grumbling is a good sign. slowly begin to bend your knees. And slowly begin to let those knees drop out to one side, maybe bringing your arm up above your head, the other arm to your mat, and slowly bringing yourself upright. We are going to use our bolster or pillow or blankets or whatever you have in our last pose, and we're going to take our yoga blankets and we're going to fold them, give our head something to relax onto. Again, you might want a second one. It's something you need to play around with. You can also have your bolster across your mat, underneath your knees. We're coming into Shavasana, corpse pose. This is where you allow this practice to do its magic. So you can take your bolster across your mat and just have your knees over them, laying back down on the mat. Or you can take them up against your hips, bring the soles of your feet together. You can even grab one of those blankets and put it around your ankles like we did earlier when we were sitting up against the wall. And actually, for me, I'm short enough that the bolster by itself is just fine. So it's all about, restorative is all about your body. I can't see you. I can't make suggestions. And even if I could, the truth is, yoga is about discovering your body, what feels right in your body. We are all unique. It's amazing the differences, person to person. Amazing in a good way. I am clear and focused. If you'd like, you can choose to bring your hands to your belly. You can bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your chest, or just have them down by your sides. Breathing in and out through your nose, whatever rhythm feels comfortable to you. We're not forcing our breath here. We're not trying to count. We're just breathing naturally. And begin to let your breath just naturally deepen. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Perhaps circling your wrists in one direction and then circling them back in another. If you've allowed your knees to fall open and the soles of your feet to come together, go ahead and reach under your knees and slowly bring your knees so they're pointing back up to the ceiling. If you're just laying on your mat, bring the soles of your feet to the mat. And then just heel-toe your feet out as wide on the mat and let your knees fall in together. Just a little counter pose. Let those hips relax. For a few breaths here. And then just point your knees towards the ceiling and then stretch one leg out and the other. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. One really big stretch. Maybe wiggle those hips around. Turn your head from side to side. And then slowly turn over to one side. Stretch one arm out. Cradle your head. If you've got the bolster underneath you, you have a perfect place to rest for a few minutes before we come upright and close out our practice. Take a few deep breaths here. When I'm laying on my side, I really love when I inhale and I feel my ribs begin to move away from each other, and on the exhale, come back. It just feels really good to me. And one last deep breath here. And slowly begin to come back up into a seated position, perhaps on your bolster. Come into an easy seated position for you. And I'd like to close out this practice with Kali Mudra, since this is about focus. I'll turn to the side, then bring the palms of your hands together, interlace your fingers except for the pointer fingers. They point up. And we are just going to point them straight out. So cutting through any confusion, any thoughts that are just running rampant, which hopefully by now you are relaxed and they are not. Gazing down at the tips of those index fingers, let's take 3 cleansing breaths. We'll breathe in through the nose and then let it all go through the mouth. So inhale, exhale, let the shoulders relax. Inhale, gazing at your fingertips. One last one. Make it the deepest inhale and exhale, getting all the confusion out of your system, bringing clarity in. Inhale. Exhale. And let your hands just drift down to your thighs. Thank you so much for joining me for this restorative yoga practice. I know to a lot of people that holding poses for a longer amount of time can feel challenging because we're alone with our thoughts. It can feel silly to people who are used to things like power yoga, Ashtanga yoga. They don't understand, why would I want to relax? So I invite you to think about not only how you feel now, but think about how you're going to feel tonight when you go to sleep. Think about how you feel when you get up the next morning. And also, when you're practicing restorative yoga, think about how you feel after you've held the pose for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. It may seem really, really challenging during, but you may feel some sort of release afterwards. You might actually feel energized afterwards. You might feel more clarity afterwards. Just notice. I hope you enjoyed this restorative practice for focus. If you did, please go ahead and click the like button. If you want to know when new videos are added to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thank yourself for choosing this practice today, and I thank you so much for choosing to practice with me. And every day, remember, go inside, find the peace, the clarity, and the calm that is always there inside of you.